In one of the most brutal and unapologetic takedowns to ever hit Meghan Markle's carefully curated public image, Simmons, media titan, Spotify executive, and unapologetically candid cultural commentator, obliterated Meghan's newest podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, on Jimmy Kimmel Live, calling it tone-deaf, phony, and an insult to real entrepreneurs. And while Meghan might have hoped for a rebrand as a champion of female empowerment and business acumen, what she delivered instead was a self-serving vanity project riddled with personal grievances, marital subtext, and carefully coded jabs at the British royal family. But this isn't just another celebrity misfire. This is a full-blown, high-profile implosion wrapped in hypocrisy, entitlement, and strategic victimhood, propped up by a prince who now seems more like a lost cause than a noble ally. Confessions of a Female Founder was announced with the kind of PR polish we've come to expect from Meghan Markle, buzzwords about empowerment, entrepreneurship, female leadership, and breaking barriers. But what audiences got instead was a jarring cocktail of palace gossip, passive-aggressive musings about pregnancy-related mistreatment, and vague anecdotes that seemed less about female entrepreneurship and more about royal revenge. As Simmons put it on Kimmel's stage, this podcast wasn't about founding anything but a narrative. And Meghan's narrative is that the world, and more specifically, the royal family, owes her sympathy, money, and a platform. The sheer dissonance between the podcast's branding and its actual content didn't go unnoticed. The first episode, instead of highlighting business struggles, began with Meghan discussing the stress of her second pregnancy and how she wasn't protected. These are familiar refrains recycled directly from her infamous Oprah Winfrey interview. But this time, they were cloaked in the language of entrepreneurship, an odd and ultimately transparent ploy. Let's not forget, this isn't Meghan's first foray into podcasting. Her first series, Archetypes, also launched with enormous fanfare, only to be quietly dropped by Spotify in mid-2023 after just 12 episodes. Reports from inside Spotify later revealed deep dissatisfaction, with Simmons himself famously calling Meghan and Prince Harry ing grifters on his own show. He accused them of failing to produce anything meaningful despite their multi-million-dollar deal, an accusation that now feels prophetic. And yet here we are again. Meghan, undeterred by her previous flop, returns to the mic with a new project that already reeks of self-interest. Except this time, the criticism is louder, sharper, and far more public. Confessions of a Female Founder? Simmons said on Kimmel, smirking. More like confessions of a royal escapee who wants to rehash her trauma for profit. It's hard to discuss Meghan's latest misstep without dragging Prince Harry into the spotlight, and rightly so. Once positioned as the rebellious royal with a cause, Harry has become little more than a glorified publicist for his wife's endeavors. The man who once commanded global respect as a veteran and philanthropist now spends his time pitching reality shows, suing the British press, and awkwardly trying to rebrand himself as a Silicon Valley thought leader. And now he's reportedly been involved behind the scenes in Meghan's new podcast, working on strategic partnerships, helping her navigate the messaging, and making a few quiet calls to industry allies. If true, that's a tragic fall from grace for a man who once vowed to protect the Queen and now finds himself orchestrating a commercial vendetta against his own family. It's worth remembering, this is the same Prince Harry who claimed to want privacy only to publish a 400-page memoir trashing his brother, father, stepmother, and British institutions. It's also the same Harry who now wants to cherry-pick royal duties, attend events selectively, and demand UK taxpayer-funded security while actively undermining the monarchy's reputation abroad. There's something deeply cynical about how Meghan continually weaponizes feminism as a shield for her own career ambitions. In Confessions of a Female Founder, she postures as a trailblazing entrepreneur, yet offers no real product, company, or service. There's no startup, no P&L sheet, no scaling strategy. There's only the brand, a vague, elusive Meghan-centric ecosystem built around grievance and curated imagery. Real female founders face funding gaps, investor bias, and market volatility. Meghan, by contrast, has Netflix, Spotify, Hollywood agents, and a literal prince in her corner. And yet, she still insists on playing the underdog. Even more galling is her manipulation of deeply personal topics, pregnancy, mental health, emotional trauma, not to educate or uplift, but to center herself in a narrative of persecution. It's PR masquerading as podcasting, and audiences are waking up to the act. Once darlings of American media, the Sussexes are rapidly becoming tabloid kryptonite. Ratings for their content have plummeted. Archewell's corporate activity has slowed to a crawl. Their Netflix docuseries, once hyped as groundbreaking, ended up recycling old footage and exaggerated anecdotes. Even in the US, where they were once granted unquestioned moral high ground post-Megxit, the tide is turning. Simmons' public dismantling of Meghan's podcast is just the latest and perhaps most damning evidence that Hollywood and the media elite are growing tired of the charade. And unlike the British tabloids, Simmons isn't motivated by monarchy nostalgia or conservative outrage. His criticism cuts deeper because it comes from the left-leaning, entertainment-savvy world the Sussexes so desperately wanted to be part of. And that world is now telling them you're not relevant anymore. The word grifters wasn't a careless insult. It captured the essence of what many in the industry now believe, that Meghan and Harry have become expert marketers of victimhood. They trade in trauma, convert controversy into clicks, and disguise brand deals as activism. What makes this new podcast so offensive to real entrepreneurs is its sheer audacity. It pretends to be about women in business, but delivers personal vendettas and palace gossip instead. It markets empowerment, but packages narcissism. It claims to break boundaries, but offers nothing new. Bill Simmons didn't just criticize Meghan Markle, he eviscerated a brand built on contradictions, opportunism, and staged vulnerability. And in doing so, he voiced what many have been thinking for years but were too afraid to say aloud, that the Sussex saga isn't a tale of bravery and reinvention. It's a calculated media campaign that's grown tiresome, inconsistent, and ultimately empty. Confessions of a female founder might pretend to uplift women, but in truth it uplifts only Meghan. And by using it as yet another platform to air her marital tensions, her royal grievances, and her strategic victimhood, she's not empowering anyone, she's exhausting everyone. And as for Prince Harry, the once respected prince who now spends his days propping up this delusional narrative, he's not just complicit. He's the architect of his own downfall, publicly, professionally, and historically. The world isn't buying it anymore. And with every awkward podcast, courtroom stunt, and Netflix flop, Meghan and Harry inch closer to becoming the very thing they claimed to escape: irrelevant, entitled, and dangerously out of touch.